I love Destinies so much. When I got the Kickstarter prototype, I slapped up Bowers of Bestial on it. I've never actually done that before. Does it live up to the hype now that we got the final version, Sean?
Yeah!
Let's talk about it.
What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! We're back again today for another game review, a special tag team review. Here with my 8-year-old son, Sean.
Hello!
And we just got done playing through the entire campaign of Destinies from Lucky Duck Games. This is for 1 to 3 players, ages 10 plus. Take you about, I think it's 90 to 100 minutes to play. And in Destinies, this is a family weight game in which they're going to drop you into a setting. So it's like, you know, Joan of Arc time period. There's vermin and rats and plague and all sorts of bad stuff. But you're going to just be playing as a regular old person. You might be a soldier, you might be a witch, you might be a coward, you might be a hunter. And you're going to have 2 destinies that you need to achieve. And these destinies are going to require you to travel across this land, which is going to be done on this grid system right here. Now, where this game gets really interesting is every single card, except for the locations, have QR codes on them, and you are going to be using an app that is spectacularly done. We'll talk about more about that in the pros and the cons, to really kind of go around this world, explore, and chuck dice. This is if you play role-playing games and you're used to skill checks, you're going to be doing tons and tons and tons of that. There's cards to modify things, and you can do all sorts of crazy stuff like that. But this is a review, so we're going to be talking about the pros, we're going to be talking about the cons, and we'll start off on the con side. And I do want to mention one thing. And this is definitely a nitpick. If you do not know that going into this game, it's a family weight game, I think you might be in for a bad time. Because this is a very light game. You are going to, on your turns, move your character 1 to 2 spaces. You're going to land on a spot. You're going to click on the iPad. The iPad is going to tell you a fantastical story about what's going on, or fill you in a little snippet of what's happening. There'll be some awesome background noise. And then most of the time, you're going to end up rolling dice to see if you get lucky on the dice. Is that about right?
Yep.
And you're going to do that over and over and over and rinse, wash, repeat. This game is more about the story, and I think it's important to know that going into the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a medium weight game. This is a light family weight, I would say gateway style game. Would you agree with that, Sean?
Yeah, if they can handle the spookiness of the game.
Yes, which brings me to another comment I do want to mention with the game, which is I like the worlds they build. I like exploring in the worlds, but the overall story, I didn't think it was the best. What did you think?
I like the story.
You like the story? Well, I think my main issue was going into this game, I thought it was going to be more like a campaign, where it's like, oh, part 1, and then part 2, and part 3, and part 4. Then it kind of feels like that when you boot up the app, right?
Yep.
But it's not. It's like,
yeah.
Here's a game, and then there's 100 years into the future. You don't get to keep your cards, you don't get to keep your skills, you don't get to keep anything. And they'll like wink, wink, nod, nod. They'll be like, hey, there's your ghost or something. Or, hey, we remember that time you did that thing. And it says in the rules they recommend playing with the same group. But to be quite frank, I don't really feel like you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could have played all 5 of the scenarios with a different person every time. And it wouldn't have been a big deal at all. Mm-hmm. I think one-offs are definitely something that's going to be really popular with this game in the future. Now, another comment I have in this game, this one's more of a nitpick, is this giant mini right here. You want to talk about this giant mini a little bit, Sean? Because we got some bones to pick with the Abaddon here. This giant mini.
Don't call him by his name.
It's fine. So what do you want to do? So what's the issue with this guy, though?
Well, he might look cool, but is this size really necessary?
And the best way to showcase this is actually to put the box on its side, and then you can see just how much space that takes up of the minis. But the rest of the minis, the overwhelming majority of the minis, though, are these teeny tiny little oopsie-whoopsie dudes.
You got these big guys.
There are a couple ones that are regular mini size, but for the it's just there's a lot of dead space in the box. And what I foresee most people doing is if they get the expansions, they're going to take the box insert out, probably get rid of this dude and replace it with, something else like we did, and then everything will fit in the box nice and neat. I understand they needed it to sell Kickstarter units, but it doesn't add to the gameplay. And the other big issue we had with the mini is you don't use it that often at all. It takes up so much space. So when you look at the app, and the app is spectacular, we'll talk more about the app in the pro side, it shows all the minis on the board. So you can actually kind of look at the board and look at your thing. It doesn't show you, which is another nitpick. That did kind of annoy me a little bit. But it shows this. And it makes it really more difficult than it needs to be, because the way it works is you would look at it like this, and so if you show them. So if you're trying to click something up here,
I'm gonna click. Oh, whoopsie! I clicked the wing.
yeah, you might accidentally click the wing. We both did that one time.
Yeah.
I almost did it twice. Now, to be fair, it does say, "Do you want to go do this? Yes or no?" But 4 games in, it's like you're just clicking. You're like, yes, come on, let's go.
Come on, I already tapped this.
So the story is a bit forgettable to me, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Because the other thing that I want to mention about this is the replayability of this game is going to be somewhat difficult. Like, I would not probably want to go back and replay this game right now because of how much stuff is fresh in my mind that I remember.
Yep.
Could you agree? Because, unfortunately, not all the Destinies are wildly different. Like, there'll be some times where it's like, oh, we have the same Destiny, or very similar Destinies. And it's just, at that point, it just feels more like a race, whereas I really enjoy when we have different Destinies. It's like, what's he doing over there? Why are you going over here? There's a beast right here. Why are you talking to the merchant? You know, and that, I think, makes the game a bit more interesting.
Yep.
Luckily, though, I think the story is so generic that I don't feel like it's that memorable, which means the replayability, I think if I came back to this in 3 months, I would forget a lot of the stuff that I've already remembered. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
All right. So, do we have any other negatives we need to talk about? Because we're about to kiss this game's behind. We're about to tell you how much we absolutely love this game. We can't wait to play the next Sea of Sands expansion. But any other cons? You know, sometimes the QR code would be a little bit wonky.
Oh, yeah,
You got to get it at the right angle. That's the nature of the beast with QR codes. I did find it better than the Chronicles of Crimes most of the time, but I don't know if that's either here or there. They might be the same system, so it might just be all crazy cockatoo in my head. One of our minis came slightly bent, but I guess you can fix it with hot water, and it's not a big deal. The most of the time, the minis... you know what? Let's just get into the pros. I don't have any more of the cons. Moving on to the pros. Destinies was spectacular. I still love Destinies. I'm still slapping a Bauer's Best seal on it. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. There's a lot that this game needs to fix, I think. And there's a lot that this game can build upon. Because I feel like, and they are going to start doing an expansion, but oddly enough, I felt like they were adding a memory aspect in the expansion, which was not the way that I was expecting to go. But I just feel like there's so many extra layers they could build onto this system that in the future, this thing is going to be spectacular. But anywho, let's start with you, Sean. I know you're ready to talk. What do you love about this game? Because you're absolutely head over heels with this, right?
Yep. I was about ready to give it 100 out of 100, then I realized there were some cons I had with it.
And that's okay. But what are some of the things that you love?
Well, I love that... Oh, I have one con.
Go for it.
It's that this... Oh, no, you mentioned the con already.
All right, on to the bros.
Yep. So, something I really like about this game is the different cool backstory you have. Like, you liked this better. You want to banish this guy so you could either build a boat and trick him into it or whatever.
I do. I also like that as well. And I hope in the future they even make it so there's multiple paths to victory. So what you're saying is I like different paths to victory, which that's one of my favorite things in board games, when it's like you can win this way or you can win that way. And I like how it interweaves with the story. It's like, yeah, we could go rise up an army and we could kill this guy, or I could just talk to political figures, and if I grease the right wheels, maybe we can just oust the guy. And there's different paths to victory, and you might need to change potentially during the game based on what you stumble onto, because all throughout this world there's tons and tons of magic. And I like the theme, but I will say the theme is very dark. And the theme almost feels just way too dark for the gameplay. And I think there's going to be a big disconnect there with people when they're like, this theme is really rough for I wanted to play this with my 5-year-old Luke, and there is no reason why he couldn't play it, because it really is just a choose your own adventure game. You roll dice, you make decisions. He could make every decision in this game, but he was so scared. Which also brings me back onto the pros, because he was so scared because of all the spectacular background music on this app. And I want to tell you something. Sean was playing this solo by himself. That is how well done the inner workings of this game is. And that's something I think we need to take time to appreciate. It's just how easy this game is to really run and set up, with how they number all the item cards, how they number all the different tiles, how the QR system works pretty cleanly and smoothly. All your options are up there. Oh, do you want to talk to this person about an item? Oh, do you want to talk to this person about your destiny? Oh, do you want to challenge this person to an arm wrestling match? Everything in the app I felt was, for the most part, really well done. Would you agree?
Yep.
It was easy to use. One minor nitpick that I did have is that, you know what? I'm not even going to mention that because I totally... you know what? I will. So they mention that the app saves after every single turn, which is great.
Yep.
And they mention it before the one-off scenario, and then at the very last scenario of the main campaign, which once again is very disjointed. It honestly doesn't feel like much of a campaign.
Yeah, it just feels like a bunch of different adventures. Oh, there's this. Then a million years later, oh, I remember this.
A million's a lot, but yeah, I think we probably went about 1,000 years later from where we started, maybe.
Yeah.
But anywho, overall, we could definitely recommend Destinies, though.
Bing.
Now, one thing I do want to mention is we played this 2 players. We played the competitive. There also is a solo version of the game, which you tried. There's 2 different solo versions. One of them is turn-based, and you did not win that. And you didn't think you were very close. And a lot of people on the internet also had that same complaint that particular version is very difficult. The other mode, though, takes kind of away the competitive nature because then it's just an exploration game. But I still kind of enjoyed that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. But anywho, it's a your mileage may vary kind of thing. Look into the solo before you purchase it. I would recommend to see what kind of solo gamer you are. But that's Destinies from Lucky Duck Games. In the
I
end,
got one pro.
one pro. Go for it.
The pro is that they have good background music that fits in other stuff. Like good background sounds, like if you're visiting a devil, it's like.
It's pretty freaky. Well, what, Barry? My buddy Barry did that. But, anywho, if you enjoy what we're doing, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below. We're trying to reach 9,000 subscribers, celebrate my 9th anniversary of making YouTube content. And in the comments below, let me know you got a question for the fine people.
Yep.
What's up?
It is if you could turn into one dark creature, what would it be?
Ooh, dark creature. I would go with Golem. But when he has the ring. Me precious.
I would go with jeez. You scared me. Okay.
My precious.
Okay, you can stop saying that right now. I'm trying to.
Okay.
I
wasn't expecting you to take so long, but sometimes I know when you throw out a question off the top of your brain, you're like, oh, I don't know how to answer that either.
I would turn into a shadow devil.
That sounds pretty creepy.
Yep, I know.
Let me know in the comments below. Would you turn into Maggie Simpson on a pitch black midnight horse? As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.